All right, so there's a lot more good than bad as a two-hander. Okay, uh, to me, two-handed, the timing has to be a little bit different than one-handed because I equate a two-hander like a no-thumber. The swing isn't going to be as big, so you have to be a little bit later in timing, generally speaking. And for me, when I work with two-handers, the first thing I do, I categorize them of those with a push rate, those without. You think of the touring guys, and that's what's hard as a two-hander. You look at the top four touring guys; they all bowl differently. Um, I would say the majority have a push rate. Someone like Simon does not. So totally different timing for Simon compared to someone that has a push away. You have a push away, so you're kind of in that category. So let's put you in motion here. And like I said, there's a lot more good than bad here. Um, it's kind of funny because when you said you're bowling two hand for like less than a year, I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. But then you said you played with it before, and like I would have never thought you've been bowling two hand for a year watching this because you've had experience with it before. First of all, because most two handers that switch from one handed, I can tell they switched. I would not have been able to tell that you switched. So that's a good thing. Yeah. Okay. Set position's good. I don't know that I would change that much. You have a little extra motion here right on step one. You kind of go out with step one. Okay. So in theory, you're pushing early. Even if you were one-handed, we as a five-stepper, you probably would hold it steady on one. Okay. If you push early, it's going to come down a little bit early. Okay. If it comes down early, it comes back a little bit early. Okay. Now, a lot of two-handers that have a push rate, someone like Belmo, someone like Chris Vi, okay, they're going to be more about here on with the ball on step three. Okay, the earlier the ball is into the swing on three, the more of that skip step you're going to have. Okay. Okay. And what can happen sometimes if you get too early on three, the skip step will be a skip step, but your right foot never passes your left. You don't have time to. Okay. Foot stops, ball comes through, so that's all good. But usually the ball will be in motion on more on four steps, not on all five. Your lower body reacts to your upper body. So when you feel like you get kind of quick with the lower body, I think your lower body is just trying to catch up to what your upper body is doing. Okay. I don't have Belmo on my system here, but I do have Chris Vi. And this is an older video of Chris before he started sliding, so he'll still be planting. So I need to do a video of Chris. We just haven't been in the same place at the same time. So this is 4.5 years ago. And he's taking four steps in this video. But I want you to see how smoothly he gets into motion. And then he kind of builds momentum, right? So setup is the same as you. Okay. Now keep in mind his step one would be your step two. Okay. On his step two, he kind of eases that out to his waist. Now you ease it out on one. So you hit your ball, the center of your ball, see how that's just above the waist here, is kind of level. Your center of the ball is down there on two. Okay. On the next step, he lets it kind of fall around. So he gets it kind of right by that front leg, a little bit in front of the shoulder. Your ball was by your hip. So he's going to have a skip step where they both kind of go forward, but it's less of a skip step. So step four will do what it has to do to catch you up on timing. Okay. And it's so deceiving with Chris. Now, he does slide now. But when you watch this, it looks like he's not doing a lot. That's a ball speed of 20 with a rev rate of 580. But it doesn't look like it. Okay. But think of any sport at the very highest level. Those athletes have lots of power, accuracy, consistency, no matter what the sport. But it looks like they're not doing much. Okay. I know. And 20 miles an hour off the hand. Okay. Um, so you're going to look more kind of forceful. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Correct. And it's a lot of work to do less. I know that sounds easier to be lazy and not help. It's the work. If we look at a different one, I think it's going to look the same. And your setup is really the same as Chris. But see, you move that on one. You're moving kind of down and out on one. So the ball goes down and then kind of out. And then on two, you come up a little bit, but then you also come down again. So we're going to see if we can clean this up a little bit by just holding it steady on one. And then it's going to feel like you kind of ease it to the waist on two. Okay. So we're going to see on step two if we can get the ball more kind of almost in that position instead of that position. Okay. And then on three, maybe the ball will, instead of the center of the ball being there, it might be over here, be less back. Okay. And that will probably affect your step four a little bit. It'll be the same timing at the end. We'll just get you there differently. But if you start a little bit early in timing, everything has to go quicker. And then it's hard to soften up. Okay. Because you can kind of, if you just watch your feet, you get going way quicker than what we saw with Chris. Now, another two-hander I could reference. Right, let's go to Chris again first. I keep in mind his 1-2 is your 2-3. So he definitely builds momentum, but is less rushed than you. But the lower body reacts to your upper body. Okay. Now, this guy is really a one-hander, but he throws a good two-hander. I'm going to pull up Marshall Kent. Have you seen Marshall throw it two-handed?
I haven't.
Okay.
I mean, I have a little bit. That's funny.
Right.
When the one-handed one. That's the other one that you compared me to.
That's funny.
Marshall again.
Yeah.
That's
Okay. Well, you're both kind of powerful. You're more on the power side of medium of bowling, in my opinion. One-handed and two-handed. Okay. Now, this day we worked for an hour and a half one-handed. Then right then I said, throw two shots two-handed. I want a back view and a side view. So some of his one-handedness probably came into this, if that's even a term. Okay. But see, it's the same setup. Now, he even admitted when I showed him this, he's like, I usually don't move it on one. So that's kind of like what you're doing a little bit. Okay. So it's a little bit more down there. So it's kind of similar, actually. Okay. His third step isn't as big as yours. Okay. And see, he has a skip step, but see how that foot passed the other foot, even though it was a skip step. Your foot didn't pass your other foot, really. Okay. And then it's the same at the end. Okay. Same thing. Everything is just a little bit smoother, a little bit less rushed. Okay. I think you look more rushed and forceful because you're pushing a little bit early. And one hit or two hit, your body likes being forceful. But that's the thing with these guys. You see how they're smoother. Okay. Even it looks to me like you're kind of pulling it back into the swing, right, kind of right there a little bit. But I think we can work on that start. If we go in slow motion, you have a lot of ball motion on step one. And I don't know, I don't think that's intentional. And sometimes when people are doing that, they don't even know they're moving it. Okay. Did you move it early with a one step? Or not a one step, one handed?
Yeah, for the most part. I was
Okay.
more in timed actually. The funny thing is, I've been trying to in time it with my second step, and I thought I was, but
Right.
I'm like that end because I'm going forward and then up. That up makes me feel like that's the push away, but I'm
Right.
pushing as I'm going.
Correct.
So that like
If you look at how many, see, we don't see any shirt behind your elbow there. At the end of step one, we definitely see shirt behind your elbow.
yeah.
So whether you feel like you're pushing or not, you're pushing. So you could do that at home with a mirror. Mirror to the right, two steps and stop. No motion on one. You kind of ease into the waist on two. Way easier seen than felt. Okay. And from the back view, nobody could ever see this from the back. You can't see it from the back that you're pushing early.
That's the thing. Yeah, exactly. All the back view ones that I have, I'm like,
Yeah.
I have no idea.
So timing, you have to see from the side view. You can't see timing from the back. Yeah.
That's a good piece of advice.
Okay.
Now I can put that into my studying and my homework.
Yeah.
For sure.
There's no way you can't see size of step. You can't see your push rate from the back. So if I
footwork, that's the only thing I look at when I'm looking
Ah.
at the back view.
Yeah.
Footwork.
And back view is more for directional things. I think your footwork is actually pretty good. Let's check here. That's kind of good. Yep. That's kind of normal footwork. Now, whenever you fall out of a shot, you just got too aggressive with upper body.
That
Okay.
happens a lot. I mean,
Okay.
I'm on it, but that always
Yeah,
extra step.
yeah.
That happens a lot.
Even here, you can see you're fought for balance. Watch your slide foot. See how it kind of shimmies around.
Yeah.
But then if that's not enough, you have to step off. Okay. If we look at another one from the back view, but pushing direction and everything is decent, and that's a better shot. Your foot didn't shimmy around. You still fell off,
Right.
but that was probably a little bit less forceful. I recorded a couple with your thing just to see if anything was different footwork wise or swing wise. It looks about the same, to be
Okay.
honest with you.
That's also yeah. I just wanted to see if
Yeah.
because it definitely does change
Yeah.
when I do the different
Okay.
things.
Now, there's one thing in the swing that I see with you that I don't see with a lot of other high level two handers. Okay. And we could use a reactive one. It doesn't matter. It's the same. Uh, Now it's super dark in this bowling center. You can see the big shadow on the approach, so it's hard to get good video from the back.
Yeah.
And I have my camera like opened up to make it brighter. It's just hard. So every time I come in here, I tell Hillman, I love the new lighting. It looks great.
It's nice and bright in here.
Exactly. He's like, yeah, I know. He deserves all the shit he gets.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree.
So your push rate direction is great. So that's all good. Usually with a two hander, as the swing goes up, it will come inside the head a little bit. Now, and we'll see this better on a close up, but you see how the swing is a little bit in, but then right at the top it bumps out. And then you bring it in on the way down. And then to swing it, then you have to redirect it. Because when this comes in, you can see from here down, it's coming in. If you don't redirect it, you throw it in the left gutter. Thankfully, bodies are smart.
Yeah.
But that's just extra work.
Okay. That's also a thing. I'm glad you pointed that out because I was always wondering why, no matter how much I try to go this way, my hand always seems to go off to the right a little bit. No matter how hard I
That's you
try.
redirecting to hit your line.
Right.
Because if you don't redirect this, it would not work out well.
Right.
Okay. Let's go to a close-up view. You can probably see it better in a close-up view here. But push rate direction is great. That's really good right there. Now that's a hair inside the head, but watch at the top of the swing. See how it bumps out? And then from here down, it comes in. So now to create a bigger angle, you have to really redirect it. Okay. Now let's talk about hand position because your hand position is very good, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay. You're a little bit inside of the equator at the top of the swing. That's common with a two-hander. And you stay there really nicely. And then you are going to rotate. You can see kind of where your fingers are here. They're left of the equator. And then you have a little rotation and you rotate through the ball. That's fine.
Thank you.
I don't think that's too much up the back. Okay. Now, if you kind of overthrow and you're too forceful, it will tend to hook earlier,
Right.
which makes it can be make it harder to get it to the break point. Okay, and also with the redirection, it makes it harder to get to the break point. Okay, and that's where like if we calm down your start, I think you would be more versatile with your finish. Okay, now let me show you. I'm going to use Marshall for this. Chris gets way on the inside of the ball with his right hand. I don't think you need to be as far in as Chris. I'm not saying it's wrong because he's really good,
I mean,
obviously.
I would love to be on the.
But let's use Marshall because Marshall is more where I see closer to what you're doing. All right. We see the pushing direction, everything is the same as yours. Notice as the ball came about halfway inside the head. And then watch from here down, it's straight. It comes a little bit inside the head, up, okay? And then from here down, he doesn't have to redirect anything, okay? So it's very common when I work with like a higher level two-hander, the hand goes more inside than a one-hander, and the swing goes more inside the head than a one-hander. Usually with a one-hander, the top of the swing, as it goes up past the head, it's going to be more in line with the head. Okay, but you can see on the way down, from here down, that's pretty straight, isn't it? Okay, and same basic hand motion as you. So your hand motion is good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so I wouldn't want you to get around it more necessarily.
That was more in a sense of just being able to play further left. I've been working on just trying to
Yeah,
be able to manipulate it more.
yeah.
And that's
And you're playing pretty far left today.
For sure.
If I show you with Chris, now the swing will look the same as Marshall's. Chris gets more on the in with his hand. Yeah, let's see, where's it good? There we go. Okay, so it's the same basic swing here. And see the swing, again, it's just a little bit inside the head. But you see his hand gets way more in the end. But the swing is the same spot as Marshall's was. And see, then from here down again, it's straight. There's no redirection. But he gets way on the end with his right hand.
I've never seen it like this. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, obviously we all know how good
Yeah.
he is, but it's like I didn't realize how far it was. That
Yeah,
way.
so he's just coming from an even stronger position.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
That's
like shaking his hand, man.
that's why I said you don't need to do that.
I don't. I don't think I can, even though I wanted to.
But we could work on and see there's no bump out with this swing.
Yeah,
And then it just stays there.
so with the thing too, with obviously having a little bit bigger thighs, I think that's also a thing is that I tend to be scared of coming back and hitting myself. Is that like
Okay.
a normal thing?
Yeah,
I'm not
but
saying that that's
you're not wide.
Okay.
I think you have plenty of space. You're not wide. I never thought like, oh my God, you're so wide, you have to do this.
Right. Okay.
Okay. That never even occurred to me.
Because there's always
Okay.
been times where like it just goes away, and
Yeah.
it seems like that's
Okay.
a
But I think we could get this a little bit more in on the way up and keep it in. Because neither, like, there's zero bump out. So from here down, it's in line with his target line. And same with Marshall. Same with Marshall. From that point down, there's no redirection happening. You have to redirect to create angle. Okay. Not necessarily, but it definitely comes in at the top. Now yours wanted to come in, but then it bumped back out. Okay. If we go to yours again, you see the push is the same as Marshall's, really. It's in a little bit, but not in as much as theirs. But then right there, it goes out to the right. That's what we're going to try to work on getting rid of today. Okay. Because then you can see from here down, if that's like the center of the ball, it came in a half a ball. And like I said, that can make your angles more inconsistent because you have to redirect to swing it. Okay. Now in real motion, it's harder to see. There's a slight little bump out. I mean, it happens so quick, obviously. Okay. Slow motion, we don't miss it. Right there. Okay. So we want that. It might come in a hair more on the way up, and then we need to keep it in to come down. We got to get rid of that little out. If that's the center of the ball right there, it went out a half a ball. A half a ball out has to come a half a ball, and that's a whole extra ball of motion, which just makes more work. And then you have less wiggle room to be off. Okay. All right. Does that make sense? But this is why we use video. Your release is actually really good. And you thought you were just too much up the back. I don't think you are. And this kind of proves it. Okay. Yeah. And see, that's a pretty good shot. You had balance. Okay. All right. Let's stop recording there. I'm going to work on this. So I'm going to work on one thing at a time. Sometimes just by changing your push away, the timing and what happens can change what